Who really wants and needs wealth management and financial advice? Is it the wealthy? Or is it new investors? Is it the young? Or the young at heart? We're Bamboo, and for the past 5 years, we've engaged with financial advisors and wealth managers from banks, RIAs, and fintechs from all over the world. And we find that there are some preconceptions, or more so, misconceptions of certain market segments, which can then lead to missed business opportunities. So we wanted to create a platform to bring individuals from different backgrounds to voice their thoughts. Throughout this video series, you'll hear from people from all walks of life, people that you may not encounter very often as an advisor today. You'll hear their opinions, beliefs, and fears about investing or personal finance. And then you can make the judgment. Were you right? Or did your opinion change? This is Perspectives. So here's how it'll work. Each episode, 6 participants from similar walks of life will come together to discuss questions and statements about personal finance. Participants are sent the questions beforehand, but they don't know who the other participants are or what the responses will be. In this episode, we have young professionals. Let's meet them.
Hi, I'm Suraj. I'm 27 years old and I work at Citibank as an associate consultant in client services.
I'm JJ, I'm 27 years old. I work for Happy Marketer, a marketer company, a digital marketing consulting company that specializes in digital transformation. Nice meeting everyone.
Hi everyone, this is Akash here. I'm 33 years old. I'm Senior Manager Innovation for Procter & Gamble, which is a fast-moving consumer goods company.
Hi, my name is Redson. I'm 29 and I'm a software engineer in a tech firm.
My name is Manvi. I'm 25 years old and I work in HR in an F&B company.
I'm Milena. I'm 28 years old and I head investor relations and corporate development for Validus Capital, which is a fintech company.
Perspective number 1. I have tried investing on my own with an online broker or trading platform.
I guess there are a couple of reasons. First would be maybe my knowledge of it. I don't think I studied psychology, so I never really got into finance and investments and stuff. So probably the lack of knowledge, the time, because you're so occupied in your day job or your day-to-day life that I don't take out that time, which again, I know is wrong. And I think those two, the knowledge and the time mostly, convenience to an extent.
I try to use some trading platforms and brokers as well, as some of my friends have suggested. But I think the main challenge for me is that one thing is I don't come from a finance background, but I try to learn something about personal finance. The moment I start using these trading platforms or brokers, I came across a very difficult user interface to use. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I've even lost some money as well because I was impatient with a trial account and just wanted to get started and see kind of returns. But along the way, I realized that this is not really suitable for me. And time is also very limited for almost everyone, including myself. And there's so much you can do within a day itself. I'd rather use my time for something else than trying to try and error on these trading and broker platforms. And I came across Robo-advisors, which actually helped me so much. The returns are good and satisfactory. I understand my returns as well, and I understand the risk I'm getting into.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's a little different for me. I'm originally from the US. So I have my brokerage accounts there. I have a financial advisor there who I use. So most of my money sits in the US. But when I moved to Singapore, I don't have the same investment opportunities that Singaporean citizens or PRs might have. A lot of the traditional ones that banks offer aren't accessible to me because they're restricted from US citizens. And so I use a lot of platforms to invest, whether they're online brokerages or trading platforms. And I think because I'm fortunate enough to have a bit of a finance background, I'm more familiar with products, so more comfortable to invest across a variety of asset classes.
probably associate because I have a finance background. It's something I need to practice to put in use. So definitely a stockbroking account is something where you can practice with good fundamentals, I would say. I mean, if you've learned something about how to look at a company, how to understand the market, how it's moving, and really not really taken advantage of the fact that the instrument is available, but just to understand more from how the market moves, how the consumers behave, and what their perspectives are towards a company or towards a product.
Perspective number 2. I don't have enough time to manage and invest my income properly.
I guess I would disagree because for me, it's not time, it's knowledge is the greatest, but I still think that time is a very close second. So maybe neutral or disagree is better.
It's maybe not so much about time, but whether you have a lot of energy to fully commit yourself into the zone of understanding how to invest in your own way.
It's not that I have no inclination or time, etc. I do manage my finances and I do invest. It's just not traditionally through apps, etc. So I manage it versus in things like either real estate or my company stocks, which I know there is sort of a stability in the stock price going up. So one advantage for being in a company like PNG for about 10 years right now is that the stocks that I had invested in my first or second year have seen consistent increment and dividend. So these are sort of things that I am aware, familiar. So I tend to input in those versus not versus finding out something like a stock market, which, to be frank, really intimidates me even now. So that's where I am really.
Time is limited, but I think the bigger factor is your inclination towards, doing something like investing. And from my side, part of my job is understanding what's happening in the markets, as well as speaking with people who are investing themselves. And so it's something that I enjoy doing and want to allocate my time towards.
You do it at your own pace. If you're comfortable with a certain cadence that you form when it comes to investing, I think it's fine. Like when it comes to time, for example, I acknowledge that I'm not an investment banker. I don't necessarily have the same knowledge someone in the finance industry might have. But it's as simple as buying any product in the market, for example. When you do your due diligence, as long as you're comfortable with the decision, and yeah, you invest at your own pace, which is why I answered neutral when it came to time and energy.
Perspective number 3. I need control over my own wealth building.
There's people who have the requisite information and they are doing this as a profession and I'm giving them money. I would be comfortable with that. But yeah, as long as there's information and there's the proper flow of information and knowledge, then it's okay. But I don't think I would need specific control over mine.
As much as I'd like to be in control of the finances, I do acknowledge that there are parts of part of the knowledge that I don't have currently. So I would like to make sure I understand the devices or the commodities that I, let's say, invest my money in. But how much control I can retain over that, that's a bit subjective to me. So that's why I wouldn't be able to say I strongly agree to it. But I do agree that I would like to have as much control over my finances and where I'm investing as much as possible after having a fair understanding of where I'm investing and how do those things work. So that would be my stance on this.
Contributing a huge portion of a significant amount of money onto a platform or an app that you're not familiar with. You don't exactly know what you're buying, what you're investing in. I think the algorithms that are behind the entire logic of how investments work. The idea of that really scares me. And I think from my point of view, I think having good control also allows you to just improve your knowledge slightly better. And as you start to gain more experience, you can make better decisions rather than relying or over-relying on certain platforms where you have no idea what's happening or the logic behind the investments. So yeah.
I strongly agree that it's important to take control of finances, but also equally important to understand that there are different assets and each of them come with different risks. And so it's good to know what you're signing up for, especially let's say you are taking on managed portfolios or somebody else taking the money and invest for you. You have to understand their strategy, whether you can trust them or not to take your money and help you grow in the right way. There's a lot of things that you need to know about your money because it's your hard-earned money and you don't want to go into waste.
Knowing what you're investing in is very important because when you hand it over to someone else, you're trusting that the person would generate the returns based on the contract that you've signed with them on say, for instance, you put it on mutual funds or you put it on an ETF or where it's handled by portfolio managers, handled by algorithms or whatsoever. It's someone else managing your money, right? And when you are losing control and in a world that is so changing fast, and when it's handled by systems and handled by fraudsters, I mean, it's something that you are taking risk on. It's not completely risk-free. Even if you're keeping money in your bank, it's not risk-free at the moment. So definitely we are asked to believe that it's a risk-free, but at the end, having control over what you do, not in terms of control on the money, but a control in terms of the knowledge on what you're investing in is very important, because at the end, you're responsible for it at the end. Like if you don't have the money when you're retiring, you're responsible for it, not them. They have ways to get out.
Perspective number 4. I would use a robo-advisor to build my wealth.
The idea, or rather just the philosophy of using data, according to a lot of these robo investing platforms, using data and algorithms to make decisions sounds interesting and sounds something towards the future. So in terms of somebody who's just starting an investment, it's definitely a value proposition that would interest me. Considering the manual ways of doing things, again, it takes time. We may not be equipped with the right knowledge. So I think exploring a robo investor that won't hurt and could potentially be a good source of revenue and passive revenue.
Yeah, I think for myself, I would be comfortable using a robo-advisor. I understand that that's how technology is moving, and a lot of people I know are also starting to work in such companies and are advocates for it. So I'd be comfortable. So I guess I
Definitely will use robo-advisors. I also think that it's pretty exciting to think about how robo-advisors can help you not just one step closer, but many more steps closer to some of your life dreams that you're trying to achieve. And definitely robo-advisors can optimize the money in the way that you desire. In fact, I feel that it's a sweet spot between ease of use and also very clear about the risk that you're signing up for. It's transparent. It's very hard to find solutions like this that strikes the balance of both ease of use and transparency of risk. So yeah, definitely would use one.
The way I look at it is it's my money. Whoever gives me the best deal, the best returns, I'll be inclined to that. And that comes with a whole sort of requirements that I have, right? So there's, of course, the peace of mind part. There's also the fact that I prefer sort of having a relationship manager sort of experience as well. So I know who to call, who to reach out, and someone who's looking after my interests. There are, of course, schools of thoughts where investing money is as much as an art, as much as it's in science. So maybe the robo advisors can take care of the science part, but for the art part, maybe there is something there for people who have been in the industry for longer. So that could be, that's why I'm neutral to both. And in case the market shifts towards robo-advisor because it's data-based, no human emotion, no sort of gut feel risk taking that's taken out of the equation, then we can see for what the numbers really speak of. And if that's that looks like it's in my interest, then I'll be inclined towards that. So for me, it's purely my money and how to make it grow, and whoever offers the best possible advice. It's as clear and simple as that.
Fairly agree to that. Not strongly though, because Robo-advisor is something new. I mean, it's using technology, it's using AI, fair enough. But again, I would say that portfolio managers have been in this industry for ages, actually. They've 20, 30 years of experience, and they still don't know what the market's going to do at the end. So definitely, given the way the world is moving towards computing and the speed of computing and the capabilities that technology has, we could probably say that it could reduce a lot of fraud, a lot of manhandling of your money. So that's something that I'm I'm more confident about. But again, the risk of where it's getting invested is still existent. So definitely that is something that would stop me from putting my money into that. But definitely in terms of taking that, the human touch to it is something I'm looking forward to, because it helps to reduce a lot of fraud transactions and a lot of risk in that way. So yeah, so I do fairly agree to investing in robo-advisors.
I think especially a lot of these platforms that offer the robo-advisory services, they allow you to place small amounts of cash and invest it in thematic sort of buckets of investments, where it might be, a big tech or blue chip type of investment allocation that you can select. And then in that way, you can kind of test different macro level themes and kind of see that when you're making other types of investments, how has this smaller segment of your portfolio performed? And that kind of helps to inform larger decisions that you might make later as well.
What I'm hoping for from Robo-advisor is supreme ease of use, right? So something that I can incorporate into my life. Like for example, still for a financial advisor, if it's some person, I have to fit, let's say, into my calendar, or I have to take out separate time for that. And that as much as there are advantages to that, it may not be an on-the-go kind of thing, versus a robo-advisor where I can get that ease of use. So there are definite benefits of that, especially for people who are either busy or are leading hectic lives. So this needs to integrate into their lives, and robo-advisor I feel is a great way to achieve that. So I don't necessarily think it will dampen the financial advisory experience, but what it may lack is sort of the human touch. So the barriers are going to be, how do you convince the customers that they can reach out to a person if they have questions or queries, or in case they suffer some losses, there is sort of like a helpline or enough information resources that they wouldn't trust another automated voice to tell them, or a software to tell them. So those are the barriers that I would see might be affected because of completely going to robo-advisor thing. But other than that, as far as pure financial advisory is concerned, if it's data-based, it makes sense, then I don't see that part being diluted.
I don't think that it dampens the experience. I guess this kind of links into the last question about, do you need control over your own wealth building? And I think for people who do enjoy really doing their own research, being very selective about what they invest in, maybe they use a robo-advisor just purely for advice. They don't want someone who's, speaking to them or providing that human touch necessarily, because they want to do things themselves. But I guess at the same time, a robo-advisor tries to automate that, so there's that contradictory element too. But yeah, I personally don't feel that it dampens the experience, and unless you're putting all of your eggs into that one bucket, then you can still get that elsewhere.
The experience, I think, again, it ties down to which market they're looking at. If you're speaking from the perspective of a general consumer who obviously wants something a bit more passive, something that is digital, on the move, easy, based on the entire user experience, that could fit within what they're looking for. But someone who prefers to have more control, It just depends what the robo-advisor can potentially provide, in terms of recommendations, how much control. I know a lot of robo-advisors are allowing the option for deciding how aggressive you're going to be, or someone to be more conservative. So I guess which level of control you're looking at. But I think speaking from the perspective of a general consumer who may not be that inclined to have that level of control, I think it in fact enhances the entire experience rather than dampen it.
Yeah, I think for myself, probably the pitch that a robo-advisor would have to do is, I mean, not the robot himself, but probably show historicals in the growth that they have achieved. That would be important, like as a general business case. And also if they can explain to me and give me that knowledge part of it, which I am not so confident on, if they can give me that piece, then I guess that would help sell it better.
One thing that I would probably want to hear is like you mitigating all the frauds. That's like something that is something I would look forward to. Like you don't have any kind of fraud or any kind of hampering of your data or hampering of your money that's been given to them. So there's a lot of trust, which probably right now there's not much, given the fact that it's technology driven, but there is that time taken to really create awareness among people, and also make sure that I get the returns or whatever that has been promised, I get back.